Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Whenever we present these shows, we are acutely aware that we are talking to you. Now, all of us represent different segments of our community and our society. There are those individuals who are always happy or appear to be happy. There are others who appear to be sad. And there are those who are cut off from society, and when they look at themselves in the mirror, they do not like what they see. Now, I'm especially concerned about our youth, our beloved children, and I love each one of you for the sake of Allah. The question is this: when you look at the mirror, what do you see? Do you say to yourself, how I wish I looked like him or her? I was taller, I had this pigmentation. What are you saying to yourself? And therefore the topic we have chosen today is self-esteem and the youth. I have no doubt with our panelists here, through our interactive discussion, we are going to discuss this concept of self-esteem, and inshallah we pray at the end of the program, you'll be stimulated to say to yourself, my gosh, you know what, I'm good and I like myself. Nafisa, I want to ask you the first question. When self-esteem is discussed, it's a concept not often understood by many people. What do you understand by self-esteem?
I think self-esteem is where what you perceive of yourself. It's how you see yourself, what sort of value you attach to yourself as a person. So it's a self-acceptance thing. It's got nothing to do with how others perceive you. You've got to first look at yourself. If you feel good about yourself and you feel confident about yourself and you have the right self-esteem, then you're not going to be able to have those flaws and those issues that you so-called face out there.
Okay, but Nafisa, there's another perspective to this. Children, I mean, they got fitra, they got a clean sheet, as it were. But their self-esteem is affected by how their parents perceive them. How do you reconcile that with what you said earlier on?
Uncle Idris, it's not just only with the parents. I find that it's peer pressure as well, and in the schools and all your different environments where the people you are actually mold you, and that's what happens with kids. What we do with them and how we interact with them is actually what molds them and gives them their self-esteem. So if we're going to work negatively with them and say, you are like this and you are like that, and start comparing them to others, then that's where we're actually making the mistake. We have to start off as parents to look at our kids for the beauty and the unique talents that they have. Okay. And not compare them to others.
So you are speaking about uniqueness, it's about self-acceptance. Tariq, Assalamu alaikum. How are you? At least I made you smile, alhamdulillah. Tariq, I mean, being a younger person, I won't say young, because I regard myself as young also. What's your definition of self-esteem, and what comes to mind when the word self-esteem is thrown at you?
As Nafisa said already, you know, it's how you view yourself, first of all, and what people say about you. It also adds value. You understand? So I think the most important one is how you view yourself, whether you're in public or you are alone at home. You're looking yourself in the mirror. It counts a lot. It counts a lot.
Abdul, a question, Abdul. You made a point, and I want your response, Abdul. The idea about what people say to you. So are you saying that you are defined by people's opinions?
Not really. I'm going to use me as an example. I grew up in an environment where there was no one to motivate anyone. You just live a life of your own. And one day someone came to me and told me that, you know what, I see a potential in you. And the best advice I'd give you is that you leave this place, and believe me, you will become something else one day. And believe me, that actually hit me so hard in a way that everybody who lives around that area is like a dead area. So I'm not saying that what people say about you impact you, but somehow, you know, if we don't groom each other, there's no life there. There's no life there.
Abdul?
Idris, I just want to address Tariq on what he's saying. From how I see it differently. Self-esteem is about confidence. It's about belief. It's about trusting yourself. It's about believing that you are worthy, you are an awesome human being, and a beautiful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second fold is how others see you, how they look at you, and how they see you. It is not what they say to you. If you are a painter, you are a nasheed artist, you do your best, you give your best, and that is who you are. And you enjoy that creativeness in you, and you value that. The moment you listen to their views through social media, through any other aspect, and listening to other people's opinions, you're devaluing your quality, you're doubting your ability to be magnificent. So to me, self-esteem is about, one, being authentic, being true to who you really are, who the real person in you is. And if you can identify that, be that, and allow yourself to trust yourself in front of everyone, they will see it, they will feel it, they will be energized by that.
You know what? I mean, from my understanding and from what all of you are saying, it resonates with me. The whole issue and the points that you raise is about self-belief, recognizing your uniqueness. And therefore, it is not by chance that the dua you make when you look at the mirror, Ya Allah, you made me beautiful outside, also make me beautiful inside. So you are beautiful. You are beautiful. And we need to understand that each one of us is beautiful. But sadly, and this is a point I want to raise, we allow other people to define us. Other people have their own definitions of beauty and success, and they impose it on you. And what happens then, when you confront them or when you are with them, you feel a sense of inadequacy. Now, we are not saying that if you've got high self-esteem, that means you're perfect. Oh no. What we are saying, that you recognize that you are unique. You recognize your potential to grow. Now, I want to go back a bit so that parents who are watching the program can understand that. How do parents contribute either to the children's high self-esteem and low self-esteem? What are they doing and what they should be doing? Tariq?
Firstly, I would like to say something. You mentioned that how you value yourself, which I find it very, very, very important, because that is how I view myself, and I valued myself from at that moment in time where people were trying to break you, and you find courage in something, or you find courage in something that will just actually build you. So,
sorry, Tariq, I want to ask you, how old were you then?
I think I was 14, 15, somewhere down there.
About my age.
Yes. Honestly, it was very tough.
Yeah.
It was very tough.
Okay, well, I think I want to just interrogate this. I think it's important for us to understand the psyche. That individual who is subjected all the time to negativity with toxic people, how did you feel at that time?
I felt useless. I felt worthless. I've been called names, honestly. It was a very difficult life. I actually accepted the fact that, I actually accepted what I was told I am.
No, Uncle Idris, I like what Tariq is saying, and it touches my heart, because when he speaks about that personal self, there's a lot of viewers out there, there's a lot of people out there, kids out there, parents out there, who sometimes, and even myself, there was a moment when people around me looked at me and I failed in a sport environment. And that failure, everyone else around you is labeling you. And the moment you embrace that label, it scars you. It becomes an ingrowth in you. And the quicker we eliminate that, the quicker we detox ourselves from that, clear ourselves from that. What do you think, Nafisa?
I agree with that. Abdul and I did a bit of a workshop previously, and working with the kids, the biggest issue I came across was with the kids that they had lost their self-confidence and they've lost their self-belief in themselves because they said that in the environments where they were at, things were more punted on the negative aspects as opposed to the positive. So their unique talents were not tapped into. They were being compared to other kids. And, their parents kept on jumping down on them to say that you're not performing the way you need to because of this. I think we need to change that perspective of the kids and make them see a better way that they can look at themselves. And the way to inculcate that is by increasing their self-confidence, by making them understand that each one is unique in their own way and that their talents are there. They don't have to compare themselves to others. They have to look at themselves and start loving themselves.
So, alhamdulillah, it's quite clear that the issue of self-esteem is often misunderstood. And it's very, very important. I know you might be thinking, my gosh, hey, you know what? I diminished my son and daughters. I've eroded their self-esteem. Is it too late? My gosh, it is never too late. And I'll tell you in a moment.
Time is now. Time is now.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to a very stimulating discussion on self-esteem and the youth. You know, Nafisa, you spoke about comparisons, and I know this from experience that comparisons are odious, and you spoke about uniqueness, and I think really when parents do accept children for who they are, it makes a huge difference. Tariq, you were speaking, and it really connected with me in terms of some of the issues that you face growing up. The idea, I know I read this, and perhaps in your own personal life you can say to me whether, you know what, there's evidence for it, you can validate it. They say one of the most effective ways any father or mother can develop a child's self-esteem is to teach the child a skill. Now, I know many of us know you, you're well known for being a nasheed artist. Developing the skill, did it help you in terms of developing also your self-esteem? And before you do that, I want you to, a small snippet, a little.
To hear his voice. MashaAllah.
Just be yourself. There's not a thing that you should change, 'cause you are amazing just the way you are. And when you smile, the whole world stops and stays for a while, 'cause you are amazing just the way you are.
Yes, yes, you are amazing just the way you are. You know, Abdul, I don't like competition, right? So please take it easy here, right? Tariq, I want to ask you this. I mean, I've come across this, the whole issue that I mentioned, that once you develop some skills, as you have embraced the skills so beautifully, has it affected your self-esteem in a positive way?
It actually did. I actually believe in the word that says you have the power within yourself to change negativity to positivity. So when before I became a nasheed artist, that positive energy in me was already embedded, that, you know what, I am capable of doing whatever I can. I can push as far as I can. It was already there. So by the time I got into the industry doing nasheeds, you do come across what you call some challenges, but they didn't actually break me because I already got that confident.
Okay, so the point that you're making, and perhaps it's a good point for the viewers, is to identify the talent that you've got, and each one of us is blessed with a talent.
Exactly.
Nafisa, I want to just understand this. I spoke about the home, and we haven't discussed that in great detail as yet. How can a father or a mother or siblings play an important role in enhancing and contributing rather to the positive self-image of the children?
Well, there's many ways, Uncle Idris. Firstly, we need to start with ourselves. Parents and mothers and siblings need to look at the person for the uniqueness they have. Start punning on those positive statements. I think every day they need to look at some positive aspect in that child and say, well, this is what I think you've done well, or this is what I think that is so great about you. And that's going to make the child's self-confidence build as well and make them look at themselves in a better light. Also, I've worked with a very nice way of doing things. I say, always look at yourself in the mirror and see what it is. What are you seeing? What sort of reflection are you looking at? Tell the child, what are you seeing? What do you see in yourself? And the minute you see the negative, start changing that to positive. Say, if you don't feel confident enough, this is what you need to do to start feeling better about yourself. This is how I think you see, what I see in you. These are the positive aspects that I see in you. And start inculcating that in your children. I think it's become a norm nowadays to be able to compare children one from the other, to say, you're not doing this right and that child does it better. And I think that's where the whole negativity aspect comes in, and the child's self-esteem gets so low that they actually feel like they have absolutely no worth, and I think that really affects them.
Okay, there's a person sitting at home might be saying, you know, are you suggesting that in a home that we are positive all the time, and that if, for example, there is an issue of discipline, for example, how do you discipline a child without bruising his ego or diminishing his self-esteem? I mean, what do you do? Is there a balance there? Or, I mean, in your own mind, do you see them as two exclusive items? Abdul?
Yes, I think like when we come into a masjid, there's rules. You have to take off your shoes. So at home, we as a parent have to create those rules for our kids. If our kids coming late, our kids are crossing the line, they are doing things that are not towards Quran, Hadith, the way that our Prophet showed us. We then, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, showed us we need to make them aware of it. If we let it go, we let those moments slip up, we are then going to regret it one day. And then we're going to say, why? Why me? And the way we can do it is, Idris, you asked, I think, a pertinent question about how do we address their home. I believe the way we can do is like connect with your kids, look at them in the eye, you know, interact with them, hug them, say I love you, share words of affectionate, compassionate, love. And you know, when you tell people, well done, Tariq, you know, that voice you sang was beautiful and you said you were amazing, I feel amazing. And when you encourage your kids with that enthusiasm, with that love, alhamdulillah, it will portray them and they will feel that confidence. They only need your love. Tell them, my beloved children.
I can come in there and say the most important aspect besides the affirmation is the communication. I think there's a very big break in communication at this point in time. Parents are so caught up in their, you know, everyday hectic lives. When they come home, it's homework, it's this, it's that, there's this routine. But I think it's nice to sometimes just sit down with your child and understand where the challenges are. And I think what has happened is nowadays the communication is very poor. So I think by increasing the form of communication, we would understand our kids better, understand the challenges that they're having, and we'd be able to, in an amicable way, help them overcome those challenges as such.
You know, alhamdulillah, one of the things that struck me as you were chatting, it is said by psychologists that 85% of the time what children hear from parents is negativity. Like, you are stupid, you are useless, you're going to be a failure. Now, that negative talk that you hinted at leads to a negative self-talk where the child begins to think, I'm going to fail, they told me that, these are my parents. And I think it's very, very important to change that. Now, in terms of, you know, demonstrating and expressing love, I find wherever I go in many parts of the world, whether it's a cultural thing, I don't know what it is, that we find it difficult to hug our child, difficult to express our love for the child. And we assume erroneously that if I give my child things, that is a token of my love, but the child wants more than that.
No, that it's the presence, not of the gifts. It's the presence of your time that the child wants. And if we do that, like you say, alhamdulillah, that is the turning point. It's that presence that we give. And in that present little time we have is what we say. Watch our words, because those words can be deadly. Watch what you do. Watch what you say. Every action, your body language, portrays something to them. So if you sit back and you're negative, it shows who you are. Your self-image, self-care, how you look, how you attire yourself, all that is part of your self-esteem.
I agree with that. It's about the gift of love, the gift of affirmation, the gift of time. We run this horrible rat race. We don't give our kids enough time and attention. And I think that's where a lot of the self-esteem issues come into play. Because they feel that they're not loved enough, maybe there's something wrong with them, they're not adequate enough, and they don't have any value attached.
Okay, Tariq, one of the points I've heard this said, that we need to give children positive attributes. For example, telling your son, someday you're going to be a leader. Someday you're going to be a resourceful person. Someday, you're going to do great things. How important is that in terms of your interaction with children? How important is this positivity in terms of facilitating their growth towards decent, productive human beings?
I think children, that is one of the things that they want to hear. They need to be fed with something positive, like you said, that someday you're talking to your child, telling him that him or her that someday you are going to be this and this. If you look at the Western life, you will see that the kids don't spend a lot of time with their parents. Number one, due to the fact that they're working. Number two, some of those kids, they start going outside to look for love. You understand? Or they start going outside to look for things that will make them feel worthy. You understand?
Yes. So, Alhamdulillah, it's quite clear in this segment that the home is pivotal. It's a sanctuary, a place in which, when you are able to incubate your children, implant, embed, as it were, that positivity that can enhance the self-image. And immediately after this, we're going to talk about the attributes of youth that have low self-esteem and the youth that have high self-esteem. We'll be back in a moment.
Time is now. Time is now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't know about all of you, but the discussions prior to this break have been wonderful, insightful. And inshallah, I really want to address that young person or even an elderly person who perhaps for issues maybe out of his control has given up on life. And the point that has been made by our guests is that each one of you is a unique creation of Allah, and Allah will never, ever forsake you. And sometimes, and I want my guests to interact here as I mention this, when you see someone who is enjoying some success in whatever way, we make certain assumptions. We assume that his life was easy, we assume perhaps he was a beneficiary or whatever it was. But when you speak to him or her, you realize they also had their struggles, but they never ever gave up in believing in Allah and believing in themselves. So, Nafisa, it's an appropriate time to discuss this particular issue with you. Not so much what I said, that was more as a reminder to each one of us. What are the attributes of people with low self-esteem? What are some of the qualities? The reason I want you to delineate those qualities is so that the father, the teacher, even the person who has low self-esteem says, yes, it's true, it is true. Because in the end, which I want to share with everyone else, it just requires an attitudinal change.
Well, firstly, I'd say they have a lot of insecurities in themselves. So they don't know how to come across to people in many directions in the form of communication. They don't look at themselves as worthy individuals, so they're very, very highly insecure. I'd say that we first need to look at that aspect. work on that aspect of insecurity, we can pick it up from the manner in which they communicate with people and the manner in which they interact as such. So I think that's one of the first steps to helping that particular youth actually move forward. Besides the insecurities, they tend to have some form of hostility in them because they look at themselves as non-worthy individuals. There's something that I'm not doing right. I'm not worthy of being accepted into that society or into that group as such. So it's about taking that and turning it around and making them understand that they firstly need to accept themselves, look at themselves in a positive light every single day, and then start changing those attributes as we go along.
Sorry, no, it was, my gosh, we need another show for Nafisa here. The point that Nafisa you made, the two things struck me, a lot of things strike me. The one is, when people tell me this, they tell me, Idris, you do not know how happy we are to see you. And I say to them, in fact, whenever I look at the mirror, I say the same thing. Not out of immodesty. It's a recognition that Allah has made me into a unique being. But I wasn't always like this. Because the point is, and Tariq, I need you to come into this, that in life, you got to fight those demons, right? The point she spoke about was about insecurities. We're not saying to those parents, for example, who mollycoddle the children, overprotect them, smother them with love to a point in which it also makes them insecure much later on in life. So in terms of the attributes, is there any other attribute a person with low self-esteem manifests?
Okay, she mentioned, which one was the one that you mentioned?
The insecurities.
Insecurities. Another one would be, I think, part of bullying, because bullying also takes a big step on a child's life. If she experiences bullying, whether it's at home or at school, it also affects the child. And later in life, it becomes an issue. So I think that would be bullying for now.
Abdul, any other attribute?
I think basically low self-esteem means a low evaluation of yourself. You give yourself a low negative self-belief of yourself, low in competence, low in being complete. You feel incomplete, incompetent. You feel incapable. Now, when you feel incapable, you don't believe in yourself. When you feel incompetent, you don't believe in the skill that you have, the ability to do things. You need recognition. You need to go beyond that. So low self-esteem, we have to notice that when the kids are looking down, when your children are looking down, when their heads are down, when they go into the rooms, they're quiet, they're depressed, they're suspicious, they're worried, they have fear. Fear is what holds them back. They're not prepared to wake up with shukr, with gratitude. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something to the effect in the Quran that show gratitude and I will give you more. And if you show gratitude, alhamdulillah, there's abundance will flow. So in everything is to turn it around. Let's twist it around. And my beloved listeners, viewers out there, turn it around. Be confident. Believe in yourself. Back yourself. And in that way, inshallah, we will turn it around.
You see, the issue for me, it's very well said. It's easier said than done. Easier said than done. Because remember the statement, we do not see the world as it is, but as we are. We are products of life experiences. They are those individuals, remember, and I've seen it, who have cut themselves off society, right? When you say, Abdul, and I don't not disagree with you, believe in yourself, be self-confident, everything else, these are, to me, wonderful statements. Here is a person who is not even prepared to even take out his head, engage in a conversation, because what he sees around him is only negativity. He looks at any person, the person says, how are you this morning? And you think, why is he asking me those questions? So the point that I'm making is whilst we're speaking about children and young people with the low self-esteem, now there is another question I want to ask. Can you have too much of self-esteem? That's a question.
Yes.
And okay, Abdul, you raised your hand. I was speaking to her. Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to interrogate you. Tell me what do you mean?
I believe, yes, that you can, if you have too much self-esteem,
yeah,
it's actually a downfall to you. Because I believe when you say I, me, myself, you are taking ownership that you are incapable of everything, because we are not. We are creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No, but Abdul,
everything comes from Allah
Abdul,
subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I disagree with you.
We have to say...
No, wait, hold it. I disagree with you.
Okay, share with me.
You can never have too much of self-esteem. Now let me explain this here. Let me
It's-
explain. No, let me explain. Let me, and I want to, I'm glad we're having a discussion and difference. There are others, maybe millions standing there saying we agree with Abdul. I'll tell you why. The precise attribute of self-esteem is humility.
Absolutely.
It's humility. So if you have too much of self-esteem, you're going to have a lot of humility. Now, there's a difference. People who are arrogant, do they have high self-esteem or low self-esteem?
Low self-esteem.
That's
Low
the point.
self- So that's what I'm saying, Idris. When I say that it's too much stuff, you have to watch that level. You know your barometer. Your barometer must go to that level of humility. And I like what you're saying. I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. I think it's an important point maybe. And sometimes it is moments like this that when we respect others, we value their opinion, we say, I can learn. And we step back and say, you are right. That is what changes.
I agree with what you say, but also with the humility, remember what happens is sometimes if we start losing track and we take our self-esteem to a level where we start losing our focus, that's when the arrogance comes in. And I think we can turn that around by being able to focus and ask ourselves, where are we going? Because I think people sometimes lose the plot where they tend to have too much of it and then they don't look around at the people around them, Uncle Idris.
I disagree. I disagree.
We can agree to disagree.
No, it's fine. No, it's good. I like this kind of discussion. I'll tell you why. It's a very important issue that we are raising today. Very, very important issue. In fact, when a person has got high self-esteem, what are his qualities?
Confidence?
Confidence comes afterwards. There may be some individuals, Abdul, they may be confident in a particular area, but the overarching thing, they may have low self-esteem. For example, you might find a person who exudes confidence because he's wearing a police garb. He's a policeman. He's sitting in authority. He's in charge, right? In that way, he's confident because, why? He adopts a particular persona, but deep down, he has low self-esteem. So what I'm saying, and I want, this is it, and I feel now I want to assert myself here. I like it. Let me explain this.
Self-confidence, that's great.
Let me explain this to you, right? When a person has high self-esteem, he recognizes what? What? He's a unique creation of Allah. He recognizes he's not perfect. He recognizes that he has areas that are positive and areas for development. He takes ownership of his life and other wonderful attributes. He feels good for other people's successes. He feels happy. He has a generosity of heart. He is independent but also interdependent. So I think this is an important aspect, right? So what we need to understand, my beloved brothers and sisters, that our children are an amana to us. That sometimes when children grow up in a home, when there's violence and vulgarity, unbeknown to many of you, your child that might smile at you when the child gets up, perhaps cries himself or herself to sleep. What do children want? They want a happy home. They do not mind mommy and daddy differ, but they do not want them to have harsh disagreements. So we owe it to our children to hug them, love them, and connect with them and say, yes, my Muhammad. Yes, my Abdul. Yes, Nafisa, my Tariq. Right? I believe in you. Right? I believe in you. Inshallah, after this break, we're going to discuss a very, very important concept, the whole idea of social media and its impact on self-esteem. And we shall give you, inshallah, some practical ways to enhance your own self-esteem so that when you walk in the street, you'll walk with a slight bounce, not arrogant bounce, but a slight bounce.
Time is now. Time is now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, my beloved brothers and sisters, we thoroughly enjoy your feedback. You would have noticed that whenever some of you speak to me, you tell me I enjoyed the show. But I often ask you a second question. What about the show did you like? The reason, not so that you massage our ego, so we know exactly what we should consolidate. Our overarching theme is basically to talk about issues that impact on family life, on your life. Inshallah, to be an agent of healing, an agent of change, inshallah, alhamdulillah. Abdul, I know, Abdul, your size, I get very nervous, Right?
Idris, I must just say that I've never seen you in a black outfit. It's the first time I've seen you, and I love this outfit, alhamdulillah.
Now, okay, I'm glad you said that. In fact, there are people who would go to a function, especially our sisters, go for a wedding.
Absolutely.
And I often ask my wife, my darling, my shushu bablina, did anyone comment on your outfit? They said no one, right? And sometimes they feel down. I don't feel diminished if you did not tell me. In fact, the fact that you said you like it, I'm going to wear it for all my shows now. All my shows.
Can I keep you on that, and can we check on that from today?
All my shows.
I challenge you.
The man in black. The man in black. Anyway, I want to speak about this. I want to speak about the whole issue of social media, because it is so pervasive. It affects our life, it affects family life and everything else. Does social media impact negatively on self-esteem?
It sure does. It creates an imperfect person, because I'll tell you why. What happens is you get so engrossed in the image that social media is portraying, and the person that you're portraying out there in social media could possibly be not the essence of the person that you're looking at. So people are getting the wrong perception of you, firstly. Secondly, it's impacting you because you're looking for that acceptance everywhere. So you keep looking at the likes every day to see how many people liked this particular post or this particular tag, but you don't realize that you're starting to lose the real you. And it impacts your self-esteem on a very big level, because you start looking at yourself in a negative way because they didn't like me, they didn't think this is right, that kind of thing.
Tariq, I don't know about you. Do you take a lot of selfies, Tariq?
Yeah, I do
You
take
do?
it.
I like him sometimes. Huh?
No, you're like a lot. In fact, I was just flying somewhere, and there was these two young girls in front, and they kept on taking selfies, And if I was perhaps presumptuous, I was thinking maybe they're taking my photograph, because quite they were taking their photograph, And you said you like it, and I mean it worries me in a sense, because my own interpretation is that those individuals who take all the selfies all the time is they're looking for the right image to put on Facebook so they can be liked. Do you have that same problem?
No. First, let me say that someone said these words before, that it was a question. How many selfies does it take to get to the center of attention? Because everybody wants to take a selfie, and they're hoping for the best likes, million likes or whatever. So as for me, I do take a lot of pictures.
Okay, guilty.
Yes, guilty as charged. I do take a lot of pictures.
You need to speak to me after the show. Yeah.
I do take a lot of pictures, but I think mostly I'm trying to, my work speaks for itself.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not taking it because I'm just feeling like, what I'm looking for.
Idris, how I see it is, in life we have to build not our self-character around us, our self-image. And how do we build our self-image? Is taking ownership of ourselves, looking at ourselves.
Yes.
And how do we look at ourselves? We be authentic, we be real people. Where is the best guideline? The Quran tells us how to lead a life of confidence, of excellence. If we follow the Quran, the way the Prophet ﷺ led, inshallah, that will guide us. And then we will get liked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last day, if we are liked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the best like that we ever can have. And yes, I also send messages out on social media. But the aim is, Ya Allah, how can someone be inspired? How can someone be touched? How can someone's life be impacted today? And that is, I think, in the way we can go and you can use it in a positive way or a negative way. But yes, it does affect yourself, and don't take it what people say as personal.
You see, essentially, there are those who argue that social media is about self-glorification. It feeds your vanity. That it can be used for positive purposes. Sadly, not many people use it for that. It's about an ego. They are megalomaniacs, But in terms of a message to the viewers that connects to their heart, that can ignite the spark and saying, you know what, I don't want to be a victim anymore, right? I can change my attitude right now, this moment. Recognize that I am indeed a unique creation of Allah with unique talents, right? And the point that you made, it's about Allah liking you. As someone said it so beautifully, if we pick up the Quran as often as we pick up our cell phone, can you imagine how much of the Quran we would know, how much more pleased Allah will be with us? Right, very quickly, just 30 seconds, a message.
I'd say be the person you are. Find the essence of life. Use the other social media platforms and whatever, but don't use it on a glorified basis. Be the person. Find the essence. The essence is family. The essence is love. The essence is finding that right form of self-esteem that can move you forward in life.
Tariq?
Be yourself. It's one of the best feeling ever. Don't mind what people say about you. All you need to do, there's an ayah in the Quran that says, "Unduru ila man huwa asfala minkum, wa la tanduru ila fawqakum." Always look upon those people who are lower than you. Then you will be able to be grateful to Allah.
Absolutely.
My message is to everyone out there. In the morning when you wake up, the first thing you do is look in the mirror. Read the dua that our Nabi said, Allahumma anta hassanta khalqi fasin khuluki. Ya Allah, like you've made my character inwardly beautiful, make my character outwardly beautiful. When we wake up with that, we are affirming confidence, we are affirming what our Nabi says, and in that way, inshallah, we will be self-confident, we will have trust, we will have the ability to change lives, touch hearts, and inshallah move them.
You know, Tariq, before we end up the program, you need to regale us once again with your beautiful nasheed singing. And I must say that I'm inspired, and if there's competition, you see the billboards there, you see an elderly looking man making a comeback, you know, big trouble for you. It's just something for a minute.
Just be yourself. There's not a thing that you should change, 'cause you are amazing just the way you are. And when you smile, the whole world stops and stays for a while, 'cause you are amazing just the way you are.
Alhamdulillah. You too, my beloved brothers and sisters, you are amazing. And I want you to introspect and thank Allah for who you are. Say, Ya Allah, I'm beautiful. Jazakumullah for that. We need to really redefine what is beautiful. Not the images that we see in glossy magazines. That doesn't define you. In the end, it is your uniqueness, your character, the beauty of your soul, the beauty of your spirit. And to you young people, I know your hearts are seduced 24 hours a day. Nothing is more beautiful in the eyes of Allah than a young person who has the energy, the exuberance, but he prays to Allah, he does beautiful things. So in the end, what we want is an ummah that has a high self-esteem, an ummah that rekindles, has a passion for all that is noble. This is Idris Kamisa saying, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I like it.